This is the Randomer Nintendo podcast for April 24th on this beautiful Monday evening. I am Kevin, to my virtual left, as always, Jason.
Hello. By the time anyone hears this, it'll be the 25th, but we're enjoying the 24th very much.
I'm not gonna restart.
Can't
Anyways,
let anyone have anything nice on.
yeah.
No, I just don't want people to be confused, like, wait, why wasn't I on my feed? So
We respect their intelligence. That's what Kevin was doing.
They can probably understand what I meant by that. Anyways, to my virtual right, Angel.
What's up?
Last time I host a podcast. How you guys been doing?
Pretty good, but I kind of go that way. Jason, so are you saying it's safer to believe that there are some listeners out there that think that as they're listening to it, that is happening right now, this very moment?
No, but he said the episode was for the 24th, meaning it would be ready on the 24th, but it's being recorded on the 24th.
Wait, so it's not going to be
for
ready
the
by
25th.
tonight?
It's got to go up after midnight, probably, so it'll be the 25th by the time it hits.
Why?
Well, that's news to us.
Because that's
I thought I was
usually
going to upload
when I get it up.
Yeah, so I can take my sweet time on that and copy that.
If you want, yeah. I mean, usually I post it like right in the early morning, so it's on people's feeds.
Copy that.
But
Well,
yeah.
but I guess to answer your other question, overall, pretty good.
Just to play two Yondus.
Yondus. Oh,
Yondu.
man.
Guards of Galaxy Yondu?
Oh,
Marble
how do you
Snap?
pull two Yondus?
Oh, Marvel Snap.
It's
How do you pull two Yondus?
Man, it's been so long. I mean, it hasn't even been that long since I stopped playing it, but it feels like
it's been like a month,
eternity.
Angel. Has
It
it even been a
feels like
month?
an eternity when you're playing this game, let me tell you.
Really? Has the meta changed that much in the cutesy season or whatever it's called?
The animals assemble.
Yeah. I mean-
They finally nerfed Shuri.
Yeah, I was gonna say, last time I left it, it was like Shuri, Red Skull, and Thanos. That was like everywhere.
Now it is Wave, Death, or into Galactus. And Null.
So it
Yeah,
seems
so-
like we got back what it was like 2 metas ago, or 3 metas ago.
I guess so.
Back to Death Wave and...
But
Galactus was always... Well,
Galactus
actually-
has a bunch of counters now, so
Yeah.
we're good there.
Alright. Well, that's good to hear.
Not too bad.
Yeah, I still like to look at the Dan Hips since I follow him on the Twitters.
Yeah, the dead hips are fantastic.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, I'm guessing you haven't been playing Marvel.
I'm sorry, what name did you just say?
Dan
Hip?
Hip.
I was hearing Dem Hips, and I'm like, what? But okay, Dan Hips. Got it.
Yeah, Dan Hip.
Got
My
it.
congestion will be gone before you know it.
Well, the only other thing I was going to mention, and I guess this is a weird kind of plug. I'm usually not used to plugging anything. No, this is not a plug. I'll just say that I know I had mentioned, right, in the podcast that I wanted to start a cockatiel venture of sorts, right?
Yeah, I think you talked
Like
about
a
it on
flash
the show.
game? Or what was it?
Just like a platform for me to like constantly be just committing more to my art, posting it more often, improving it, and eventually making like goods from it, be it prints, figurines, maybe games, just literally anything. I'm just
Earn
allowing
that
myself
sweet,
to-
sweet cockatiel money. Yeah.
I'm just allowing myself
Gotcha.
to just go all out with it, and I know it'll be a slow burn, but thankfully I have a lot of awesome friends that I can ask questions to that just happen to work or be experienced in the things that I need to know a lot about
Right.
yeah, just all over the place. Like we have like our good buddy Matthew who already kind of does something like similar to what I want to do, except I want to do it all cockatiel themed. But yeah, I started my Instagram I think last Wednesday, and I started posting there every day. So that's kind of like my new focus, as well as like accompanying Twitter and a TikTok. But it's all still fresh. As I'm still learning.
Company
It's a whole new
Twitter.
way.
Are you running Santa
what?
Monica's Twitter?
Oh no!
What do you mean by company Twitter?
No, a personal one for my cockatiel stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, like I started it, and it's like officially, like I officially, I guess, made it public. I guess we'll call.
Do the
Oh.
full plug. Say where people can find it.
I don't know, man. I need to practice in this plug. I'm sure I'll get it better over time. But yeah, I guess if you're curious on, if you want to join me on my arts adventure, I think I'm basically saying I don't even remember what I said. Journey, whatever. Yeah, if you want to just see my art, I guess where it goes, what I come up with, random stuff, then yeah, follow me on, I guess I would say Instagram, I guess, or Twitter. They're both gonna have similar content, but I would say Instagram is the main one. But it's at World of Wayros. So it's almost like my regular handle. Just
There's no underscore O.
Yeah,
We
no
should
underscore
clarify.
O. Yeah, no underscore or and just
Yes.
World of or WoW for short. But that, no, it's not World of Warcraft. But
Yet. One day it'll be as big as World of Warcraft. You wait and see. Everyone's going to be a custom avatar of a cockatiel in a custom garb, and then they're going to go on raiding missions where they go to other birdhouses and steal the worms to feed their children.
man,
There you go. Brilliant game pitch right there.
I don't care how much of a technicality it will be, but if I can find one person that will know WoW as World of Wayros before Warcraft, then that'd be awesome. It'll probably have to be someone very young that didn't really grow up with World of Warcraft, but I'll take it. But that's probably gonna be my niece.
Well,
but yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I feel like you know exactly who's going to be in it. It's going to be your niece.
Yep. But yeah, that's what I've been
Nice.
up to. Just going down that journey, and we'll see where it takes me.
what about you, Jason?
I don't have anything that impressive. What has been going on in my life?
You have a lot of impressive stuff going on. especially
New
this
ventures
year.
involving my own craft of my own making? No, not really. I've been enjoying the craft of others' makings. I've been fortunate enough the last couple weeks to go some cool stuff. Like I got to hang out with some of the guys from Lincoln Park a couple weeks ago for their 20th anniversary of
There
Meteora.
you go.
Yesterday I went to an exhibit. I don't know if you guys remember, there's a Uniqlo Pokemon shirt collection with a guy named Daniel. Oh man, what's his last name? I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. I was literally at his exhibit yesterday.
He had a collab
Oh,
with
that's embarrassing.
Uniqlo.
He did, exactly.
Yeah, I know
Correct.
what you're talking about.
Yes.
It's like
I can't believe
crystals or something, or
Arsham.
rock?
Arsham. Daniel Arsham. But he does this stuff where and if you live in the greater California, SoCal area, it's down in Orange County at OCMA, the Orange County Museum of Art. But he does basically all this art where he makes sculptures that look like decaying, like archaeological dug up stuff of our current pop culture. So there's like a DeLorean that's all like decaying and has like crystals and rocks coming out of it. There's like a spacesuit, and then there's a bunch of Pokemon statues. So that was kind of a fun little adventure yesterday. But in terms of things I'm crafting or creating, I don't have a whole lot to share to match you, Angel. But it's been fun to consume the works of others, including your stuff. It's been fun to follow your
much appreciated.
art journey, as you put it. So
I mean,
yeah.
but,
What about you, Kevin?
but you've been okay overall, like in good spirits though, because I know some people have suffered from like post Mario movie depression, where it's like you've been looking up for a long time, then you finally watch it, and I was like, well, okay,
I legitimately made that comment to people where I was like, you know how like after the holiday season, it's like, it's just January now. There's nothing going on. I felt like I was going to have that after the Mario movie. But then fortunately we saw the Mario movie a second time. I went with you that time. Angel,
have we
in
talked
4DX.
about those 4DX chairs on the
We
on the
have
show?
not talked about 4DX. Should we talk about 4DX? Because that felt like a very good period at the end of the sentence for the Mario movie for me.
forgot
that was
about
a way to see a movie. Yeah. So, to set the stage here, there's only 2 theaters in LA that do 4DX, I believe. One of them happened to be where the premiere of the movie was, so we went back there. But to set the stage here, we go to the movie, we sit down, we get prime seats, front and center, or not really front, but like center, perfect spot. You can see all the effects. Your seat should rock. Water will spritz you. Air will shoot at you. Smoke will come out of the screen. Flashing lights will be above you. It will be perfect. And then the seats didn't work for us 4. And only us 4. And maybe the 4 people in front of us. But like 8 seats out of like 100 just didn't work. So we ended up going down. Angel, Kevin, since you know, we ended up, Angel and I split from the rest of the group and we went to the front row because we wanted our rocking seats. Very front row. Mario's nose has never been bigger. Or more warped looking. But, we did the whole movie from the front row and got hit with water and air and the seat rocked and violently and actually a lot of water. And they have a really cool rain effect where the scene, for those who have seen the movie where Donkey Kong and Mario are kind of in like the body of water when the eel happens. It really felt like it was drizzling on us. Like it was impressive. It wasn't just like spritz. It was like a steady, like kind of like pitter patter. It was cool.
Yeah, it was cool, but then it started going just long enough for me to go like, it's still
You had to wipe
going.
your glasses twice from being hit by stuff.
Yeah.
That was kind of amusing. Yeah.
Yeah, and as I always tell everybody, like, I definitely never recommend 4DX on your first viewing of any movie. Definitely
No,
has to
it's
be
so
your second one.
distracting.
But even then, like, and and I've also always like prefaced this, like, it's always more intense than what you think it will be, but not as intense as something that you would find in Universal Studios, like, I don't know, the Simpsons ride or some other ride, like the Simpsons
You're
ride.
not gonna get whiplash, but you definitely get punched in the back by the seat.
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
one, I say what, like, there were a few things where I could see, like, someone potentially getting whiplash. I don't know if they upped them
Actually,
since
that's
last
true.
time,
Yeah.
because, yeah, some clear pipe scenes in the beginning, or even just going through, like, the initial pipe to go to the Mario world. Jesus, like, you get rocked. Like, you were just getting, like, thrown back and forth like rag dolls. And I remember it was just funny because Jason was like, he had a water bottle, and he was like, "Oh, is it safe to drink water?" And he's like,
It
getting
was
close to
never
drinking
safe.
water. And then it just starts shaking a lot, like, okay, maybe not yet.
It was
But
never safe. There was a point where, because obviously we'd seen the movie, so we were coming up to the part where they enter Kong Skull Island, and they get in the go-kart to go meet Cranky Kong or whatever. And
Oh
I
my God.
looked at Angel and I grabbed the edges of the chair and I'm like, I'm bracing. Here we go. And sure enough, it went wild. Yeah, like to your point, seeing a movie there for the first time, that's not the way to do it. But and I've never done 4DX before. This is my very first 4DX. But doing it for Mario really made it kind of like, it's already kind of a fun ride of a movie, and this really made it feel like a ride. Like it was cool. I could not stop laughing every time the seat jerked. I was like, this is so ridiculous. Like the amount of like force it uses for everything, the amount of pressure the air hits you with, the amount of like everything.
The
There's
pistons
so
on the back
much
of your head and stuff, like, it's
just so unnecessarily strong, which makes it really funny. But yeah, it's a good time. It's
an experience for sure. Like, if you've never done 4DX and and there's a movie you've already seen that's on it, or one you don't care about, it's definitely worth checking it out at least once. It's $30, but as I mentioned, like, because our seats didn't work, we ended up getting a refund and tickets for the next 18 months that we could just use.
We got $240 worth of 4DX tickets.
Yeah.
Out of that. Yeah, because we got our full refund. They're $30 a pop because it's, premium format. And then we got another 4 for free. So there's worse ways to go than watching the Mario movie in the front row, getting tossed around like a ragdoll, and then walking away with a profit. So.
Actually, now that I think about it, I just realized I saw first time and only time I saw Wonder Woman was in 4DX as well as Shazam. But those were not as hectic as Mario and Sonic. Maybe it's an animated movie thing, but I don't know. I guess those are also practically animated, but I don't know. This one was just,
apparently
doesn't really set out.
Select 4DXs, not ours, but some 4DXs when Bowser plays Peaches, bubbles rain down from the ceiling.
Wow.
Yeah, so we really we had broken seats and no bubbles. I want more than $240. No, it was a fun time.
Oh, yeah. Definitely looking forward to Spider-Verse or Turtles or whatever we end up using.
Right, whatever we do next. Yeah.
But you're not going to watch it like that the first time, are you?
I don't think so.
No, especially because these are free, so I would definitely want to get like a nice projector or something first.
You may want to talk to your brother about that then.
For Turtles?
He thinks.
Oh, I thought for Spider-Man.
We're all talking about going to see Spider-Man, but I don't know if we're doing it for the first showing. We're just going to go when it's there. Yeah.
For Spider-Verse, that might be my first and only. I don't know yet.
4DX?
Yeah.
Kevin's judging you so hard right now.
I hated 4DX. I saw Avengers Endgame like that. No, terrible. Especially as my first time, I would hate it.
I mean, it just sounds weird to say, but it's like, I just don't care much to watch Spider-Verse, I guess.
Which is crazy because you're such a fan of the first one.
Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, if I watch it in theaters, cool. I don't really mind how I watch it in theaters. I don't know. I just don't know.
That's blasphemy.
I don't know why my brain is like this, but it just
why all of a sudden it's just not there for you.
I mean, that's always been the case since the sequel was announced. It was just reload the first one, and I guess like my brain just kind of stopped there. It's like, I mean, for all I know, I might love the heck out of the second one, maybe even more than the first one, because I mean, I had low expectations for the first movie, but I think it's just more like I did such a good job of compartmentalizing the hype for the second movie, maybe so well that I locked it away somewhere and just threw away the key. That now it's just like, no hype.
It's like
But
a suppressed memory
I
that
don't
hasn't
know.
happened yet.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know. It's never felt this way about like something I feel is so like such a gimme for like to be excited about. But yeah, I don't know.
That's upsetting.
Yeah, it's like nothing about
I,
it
I
just feels like it just feels. You know what? Everything I've seen so far from the trailer, from the story, all of it feels like fluff to me.
I will say, and it's Kevin, I know you're doing me a podcast, so it's not a spoiler. I will say, the fact that they don't have they're using the same music in the trailer, and half the trailer is footage of the first movie. Like, what are they doing? Like, it just feels weird.
Yeah, and also like
It's
maybe it was
really
because I watched the
weird.
first trailer, but like the one of the trailers that feels like it just gave away
That's
the whole
absolutely.
movie. But
I can't talk to the trailer that gave away the entire movie. Maybe that's why you feel like that, because that trailer just gave away everything. But as far as the trailer using scenes from the movie and using the same music, that's perfect. Why would I want to see scenes from the new movie?
Well, the point of a trailer, in theory, is to show you a peek at what's coming down the pipe. Now, Hollywood tends to overdo
Sure,
that.
a peak. Yeah.
Right, but
And that's
not
fine.
showing. But the
a
first trailer, like
tease.
the first trailer, is like 80% the first movie. They even did the same "What's Up, Danger" like music drop with him falling upside down at the same pace at the same
Totally
time
fine.
as in the first trailer,
Totally
which is
fine
cool
at that
because it's a
point.
cool shot. But it's just like, I don't know. It's not really a trailer; it's a recap. It's like a previously on summary, which is fine, but that's not what a trailer is. I guess I don't know. Apparently, Metro Boomin's doing the soundtrack for it, and he had a pretty awesome Coachella set both weekends. So I'm in, but still, I'm kind of confused.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I'm still gonna watch it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, yeah.
But to answer your
Well,
question, Angel, I thought I would be in a post Mario movie depression, but I mean, Nintendo's keeping us pretty well fed. Like, we have Tears of the Kingdom in a couple of weeks, Advance Wars this weekend. Like, you know, they're this past weekend. Like, there's enough of a pace and enough stuff happening both in and outside the world in Canada. I'm surprisingly not in a slump that I expected to be in, because obviously my hype was so high and there was nowhere to go after that point. But I'm okay. I'm okay.
Damn. Well, that's good to hear then. We don't have to
Yeah.
be worried about you. But
It's weird how little I stopped paying attention to it. Like, I'm still following the box office, but I thought I'd want to see it a third time. Like, nah, 4DX was good.
you didn't watch the full movie vote-coded to Gangster's Paradise?
So I
It's
watched a
surprisingly
couple
watchable.
snippets. It is, yeah.
It's
So we should explain. Right before we went to record, Angel sent the three of us, all of us. It's on YouTube, but it might not be by the time you guys hear this. The entire movie inverted in color, so it could be like copyright, whatever. But it's all vote coded to Gangster's Paradise. So everything they say fits the melody of Gangster's Paradise, and it's surprisingly kind of enjoyable.
It looks kind of cool. Something like I was just skipping around to, you know, like the final scene, the middle scene, like the fights, and it's always hilarious when Gangster's Paradise, or at least like when the chorus kicks in. But
Right.
when you hear like a lot of dialogue and it's like also set to the tempo, it's just hilarious.
Yeah,
I almost wouldn't
actually,
mind watching it again this way, but I mean, I've already seen it 3 times, so.
And to be fair, it's actually not inverted color. They did some sort of like neon glow effect. It looks a little cooler.
Yeah,
than
it's like
just
anything
inverted.
that,
Yeah.
I guess like any shading that would have been light, I guess it's just in rainbow, which looks really cool. And sometimes looks really appropriate. I mean, you get a lot of cool wallpaper style set pieces, I guess, in that movie.
Right.
But yeah, very random.
Kevin, what
But-
about you? What's going on with you? We've talked about
Yeah.
us. How have you been? What's new with you?
I've been doing 5, and let's go to our first thing on the docket here.
Why don't you kick off with one of your topics then, so you can have a chance to talk?
Well, it's not just. Yeah, sure. Over the weekend I saw 2 anime movies that I've been meaning to watch for a while now.
Mhm.
The first one that's taken me forever to watch is a movie called Your Name.
You finally watched Your
Angel-
Name?
I finally saw Your Name. Yep.
Oh wow.
I know that movie because Angel loves that movie.
Yeah, well, make that 2 of us. I absolutely adore this movie.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Angel, did you ever talk about this movie, like in podcast form?
Maybe if it came out before Randomer, or actually,
It might have been
no,
in the
it
Quarantine
might have been
Chronicle
Quarantine
days.
Chronicles. I must have, because I
I think the
think
movie came out in 2016.
yeah, because I saw it in 2016. Like I bought it as soon as it
then
was
you
released.
did not talk about it on the podcast, most likely, because we didn't do quarantine until COVID, which was 2020.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
whether
Okay.
maybe
I don't even
Weathering
think
with
Kevin was on the
You?
show in 2016, actually.
Really? No, that can't be right.
Yeah. Yeah, I can. I think he came on fully in like 18.
Well,
He guest spotted a couple times. I don't know why we're talking about you, Kevin, like you're not here, but
maybe I talked about Weathering with You on the podcast because that's the movie that came after. And now Suzume, which is the third movie after that, it's in theaters right now, and I still need to watch that.
I've seen a lot of buzz about Suzume,
Yeah,
actually, even in my non-anime world.
Your Name. It's directed by this one guy named Makoto Shinkai. It tells the story of two high schoolers who, like, every now and then, switch bodies with each other. Taki is a high school kid living in Tokyo, and Mitsuha, she is living in the Japanese countryside. And so they eventually figure out that they're switching bodies, like, independently, but they start leaving notes to each other in their phones so they can know what they did while they're switching the other person's body. And they help each other in various ways, right? So, like, Mitsuha helps Taki get a date with one of his coworkers. And then, like, Taki, he helps Mitsuha's image and her, like, little countryside town by being more outgoing and sportive when he's in her body, right? So it's a different take on, like, the Freaky Friday concept, which is really, really, like, fresh. Like, as far as
that's
I
not
know,
even the
I
craziest
don't think...
part. But yeah.
No, yeah, like they do like hijinks and stuff like that in each other's bodies, which is like really funny. And then like out of nowhere, there's a twist that flips this movie entirely on its head, which like obviously I'm not gonna spoil it here, but like Angel, did you see this coming?
No, not even close. It just, yeah, I was just kind of like, what the heck? And then, yeah, I don't know, yeah, it was great. It was nice, kind of like you said, like just going through. Yeah, it was nice seeing something, a very fresh idea, not like so much. I think the combination of that made it feel so unique that just kind of blew my mind a little.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was great, and also just very heartwarming. Like I think it was definitely. I don't know if it was like one of those like, oh my god, I'm so sad and crying. But I think it was like, I think I definitely shed a tear for sure. So like,
yeah,
I mean,
like
it's also just a beautiful looking movie. Like this guy,
yeah, the
Shinkai,
animation's amazing.
Jesus,
It's like
poor
it's
animators.
insane.
They forget they have a budget or something sometimes.
Like I remember popping this up because I was sort of in bed. I didn't really know what to watch. And I was like, you know what? I've never seen Your Name, and it was on Crunchyroll, so I popped that up, and I was on my
It's on
phone.
Crunchyroll?
You know, yeah, it's on Crunchyroll.
Oh wow.
I was like casually watching it, right,
Uh-huh.
with my phone on, and then they switch to the scene in Tokyo, and then you see this fully like detailed super Tokyo, and I was like, okay, I have to restart this entire movie and like pay nothing but attention to
Oh,
it because it
yeah.
was just that beautiful.
When they do rain in that movie, or when they show cooking or any kind of food, it's always like Jesus. Like
Oh
most
yeah,
most
like,
anime movies are known for detailed food, but the Shinkai movies, damn.
yeah, this movie looks really, really good. And then the music is awesome too. It's like backed by this rock band called the Radwimps. They're a Japanese band, and I love when a like garage rock Japanese band backs an anime project because they usually turn out pretty good. Like, have you ever seen Fooly Cooly, Angel?
Oh, I have. Oh, that's that. Or I mean,
It's
that's
not
also
them.
a
It's
garage band.
yeah, but that's also like a garage rock Japanese band that just like like elevates the animation, the anime, the series or movie.
yeah.
They have the same vibe, the same musical style. Yeah, but I did get emotional at some points. Like this is a very emotional movie, especially once that twist happens and you go through the rest of the movie. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
He's getting emotional talking about it.
No,
Yeah.
it's just my nose as usual.
Oh, fair.
Yeah, it's that twist, man. It not that it comes out of nowhere necessarily, but it's just something that you're not really expecting to happen. So I guess it just comes out of nowhere. Like I was expecting this fun like rom-com, and then it just becomes a mystery at some point. It almost flipped this movie on its head the same way that the twist in Parasite flips that movie on its head.
Oh, it's that big of a twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about
Wow.
that, Angel.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I would say so. I would almost say it's a bigger twist
It like
than
changes
the
the
one
movie.
from Parasite.
Yeah.
But I mean, the one in Parasite was great. But I think
Yeah.
at some point, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Or like, I can see that. But this one was like, oh, yeah, okay, I wouldn't have been able to guess that. I think I still had to like process what was going on for a little bit.
Yeah,
And obviously, there's a certain amount of like, you just kind of have to like, okay, well, this is just the thing, and then you just see how
right.
they work with it. But
Yeah,
I mean, I'm surprised you haven't seen it, Jason. Actually, no, I am not surprised, but you should watch it if you haven't. I'm sure
I'm surprised in
you
all
and
the
Rachel would really like
years.
it. Your name?
I'm
oh
surprised
yeah,
in all the
Angel.
years that I hung out at
Joseph
your
or your name.
place every weekend. We never put it on.
That's
That is
true.
more of a movie that you should watch with Rachel.
Yeah.
Maybe my relationship with Angel just used to be that close until I found Rachel. Yeah, no, I've heard good things about it from now both of you, but yeah,
Did you
I'll
watch?
add
But now it's gonna get an
Rachel?
American remake, apparently.
What?
is
Like
it a
an
Netflix
American,
live action remake?
No, it's an American live
There is
action remake.
a live action version, right? Well, I see there is. In
There's
Japan?
probably like some TV state or like some stage adaptation, probably.
Ah. Yeah,
But I
because
don't think that there's a live action one.
I was learning like randomly, like Space Brothers is another anime I really love that I saw, but didn't finish here, but it did finish in Japan. I mean, the anime didn't have an ending, but the manga did. But then I saw that it had like a live action movie that just, I guess, exists. And then the same thing with like Your Lie in April that also has a live action adaptation. So many live action adaptations that I didn't know about. But I
Yeah,
don't know if I want to
like a
watch
lot
that.
of. I feel like American live action remakes get a bad rap, but like the Japanese ones suck too. I don't so. Like the Attack on Titan live action movies are terrible. The Fullmetal Alchemist ones are terrible. But
Yeah,
as soon as that they're made by Netflix, it's like this is the worst piece of crap that I've ever seen. I'm not gonna get on this horse anymore, but yeah, your
did you
name.
watch the Full Metal Alchemist one? It was also
I
live
saw the
action.
first one.
Was it
Garbage.
also- oh.
I've heard that the second and third one are just terrible, just as terrible.
Well, I'm sure One Piece will do better. Maybe.
Maybe that one because it actually has the creator behind it. It's not just
Ah.
the blessing.
Well,
He's
that
like
is the
actually
secret
involved
sauce
with the
that
production.
seems to be
That actually
working
could
well
make
for
a
these
difference.
last couple projects for Last of Us and Mario. But
Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
see with that.
I don't know if Uncharted director, someone was attached to that one, if it was just a blessing.
I think that was just Sony owns it, and Sony will do whatever they want to with that property.
And also, like, in the defense of that, like, Uncharted's just Indiana Jones, but not. So, like, turning a game that's sort of inspired by a movie back into a movie that's kind of just a caper, like, it's not that hard.
So for
You know
a
what I
movie
mean? Like,
called
it's not- it
Uncharted,
doesn't
you're
require-
saying it played it too safe?
For a movie called Uncharted, they had a pretty clear map of what to do.
I like that.
Thank you.
I'm stealing it. But yeah, Your Name. You should watch it, Jason.
Yeah, your name. You
Okay.
should watch it. On the other side, I also saw Weathered with You immediately after I saw Your Name,
Oh,
which was Makoto Shinkai's follow up to Your Name. This one I didn't like as much. I feel that was the sentiment with a lot of people with this movie.
I agree. The story
Yeah,
didn't get me the same highs that Your Name did. I still enjoyed it.
it's not as tight. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there was just some cool animation effects. I mean, obviously all the water, rain stuff looked amazing, but
Yeah.
it was kind of hard not to see that movie and just be like, I'm expecting, the highs, the emotional highs of Your Name, but I didn't quite get those. But it was still a good movie.
Yeah. So, like, Jason, Weathered with You, it's
Mm-hmm.
instead of body switching, it's Tokyo is seeing like some of the worst rain that it ever has. Like they just constantly get rainstorms, and this one kid teams up with this one girl who somehow has the power to pray the rainstorms away. And they basically monetize her power, and they're both without like parental guidance, so that they have to make some money to live in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, that movie, just like Your Name, it has a twist, and the twist isn't nearly as powerful, I think.
Did it feel
maybe
like-
it's not even a twist? It's more of like something just happens.
Well, does it
But
feel like one of those
actually, I
things
don't
where
think
they're
it
like
was
trying,
twist.
they know they can't match the first one, but they're like, we have to do something because that's not what people expect. So they kind of did like a thing that just wasn't as powerful just so they could say we did the thing again. We did the twist. You guys wanted a twist. That's our MO. Like they have
Yeah,
that
I kind of
vibe,
feel
or-
like you can just not have that twist happen, and the rest of the movie still sort of plays out the same.
Sure. Okay.
But like the animation in this movie is just as beautiful as it is in Your Name, and the music is done by Radwimps again, so it's awesome. But I knew I wasn't gonna like Weathering more than Your Name, like 10 minutes into the movie, because Your Name had an anime opening. I don't know if you remember that, Angel.
Oh yeah, it did. I had
And
forgotten.
it shows you like some scenes. It doesn't show you scenes from the
Literally-
movie,
Yeah, it's like a montage.
but it
of-
does. It's sort of a montage of the movie but like with no context, and it kind of spoils it to like a certain degree. But it was still an anime opening, and Weathering with You doesn't have one. So even if it was just on the same level as Your Name would have had the advantage because it has that awesome anime opening right at the beginning. Yeah, and now this guy, Makoto Shinkai, has a new movie called Suzume, which apparently is about a girl who's in love with a sentient chair. But the trailers for that movie make Suzume look even more beautiful than these last two movies, because it looks a little bit more like fantastical.
Oh yeah, definitely way more fantastical than these two so far. I mean, I've only seen one trailer where I guess it's like the chair and there's some cat and then there's like a door that I guess it's like a
Yeah.
portal. But yeah, I really want to watch it, but it's like a limited run. Like, is it even going to be up by this coming weekend?
Yeah, probably not.
But I will buy it.
Yeah, I can't wait for the home release. So, yeah, those
Were
are
you basically
Oh,
pre-gaming
actually,
Suzume
movies.
with the other two?
Actually, let's
Like
let's do that then. Once it comes out on Blu-ray, we'll watch it together. And Jason, you
A
can-
yeah,
random,
for sure.
a random or Nintendo viewing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Jason's first anime movie
Yeah.
ever. That's not Pokemon.
Okay, no, it's not. Pokemon the first movie exists, okay?
He
That
also
was
Was that
my
the
saw
only
first ever
Pokemon
anime
movie that you
movie.
saw?
he also saw
I
Pokemon
think
the
that's
first
the first
remake,
anime movie.
the first movie remastered or whatever it's called.
This is true. This is true. We went to the world
Mewtwo Strikes
premiere of
Back
it,
again.
in fact.
but in CG.
Yeah, and we went to the premiere. If you go look on, I can dig it up. There's a picture of all of us, and I mean, like thousands of us, with Pikachu at that premiere. That's on the Pokemon Japan Twitter account. So we are legitimately there at the premiere.
Yeah. Jason is certified
Yeah.
anime.
You two
Good luck
Strikes
finding
Back.
any of us in the photo. It's like 1,000 people, but we're there.
Mewtwo Strikes Back always confuses me because there's that
When
movie
did he
called
strike
Mewtwo
first?
Returns,
Oh, yeah.
You know the worst part?
which
Well,
Yeah.
it's not even, I mean, it's not a lot worse than it. But I think this movie would have bothered me a lot less because in Japan, the original Mewtwo Strikes Back had a prologue that made a lot of the other movie, I wouldn't say make more sense, but it just gives like Mewtwo the character development that he needed to be like, oh, okay, like the anger is rooted more than just I'm a science experiment. Or even just like, why some of those other Pokemon are more special than the others. Like this whole clone thing. And in the US, like, we never got that. I don't even know if we got that as like a bonus on DVD or something. Like, it was just missing. So you think like when they remake it, it'd be like the definitive edition. Like, let's include the prologue in it to flesh out the movie because, they got the time. But somehow they still omitted it. And this time in both regions. So, yeah, I don't know.
If we're
Clearly,
talking
quality
things that
wasn't
don't make sense.
the priority. But
If we're talking things that don't make sense about the Pokemon movies, I have one that has been bothering me since the year 2002 or whenever it came out.
uh-oh.
Why is it called Pokemon 3 the movie and not Pokemon the movie 3? There's no Pokemon 3 the game. There's no Pokemon 3 the toy. There's no Pokemon 3 the card. It's the third Pokemon movie. So why is the 3 before the word movie if all the movies have the word movie in their name? It makes no sense. Thank you for your time.
fuck it. Now that we're getting into this,
It's better than
One Piece
Doug's
movies?
first. Remember Doug's first movie? He never even had a second. They were very
What was
confident with that.
Wait, hold on. What? There are a lot of questions at once, one at a time. What?
Oh, do you remember Doug's first movie? Because that's what it was literally called.
Right.
Almost as if they were ready for the second, but it just never happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's not quite as bad because at least they're counting. They're consistent in their counting. If they called the third movie,
They were hopeful.
Doug's
Oh,
three-
yeah.
if they
Yours
called the third
doesn't
movie
make sense
Doug's the
grammatically.
movie
Just
3, then that would be weird. But Doug's first movie's okay.
yeah, I'm
What
just
were
kind
you
of
saying
ripping
there,
on the
Kevin?
fact, just ripping on the fact that they're not using, just normal numbering or just Doug the
Yeah.
movie.
No, it's
I just find it weird when people do like the first movie. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Kevin, it sounded like you had a thing to tear into there.
The One Piece movies, their naming conventions make absolutely no sense. So
I thought
they
Film Red
start
made
off being
sense.
like
I'm just kidding.
subtitled, right? Okay, right? So then eventually they go One Piece Film, and then whatever the subtitle for the movie is. Then they went to just subtitle. Then they go back to One Piece Film, and then they go to One Piece, not without the film, and then the subtitle again, and then One Piece Film again. It just, I hate inconsistency like that. You guys know how much I hate it.
Yeah, I'm getting some nice nostalgic flashbacks to our discussion of game box spines in the first Quarantine Chronicles.
Oh, don't even start with that crap.
Game box and DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Pokemon 3 the movie, even me being a little kid, I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. It was a fine movie. I liked Entei being in it and stuff, but like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Pokemon 3 has the hypest scene of all time. I think I've
Which
talked
scene?
about this before.
You probably have. Which scene are you thinking of?
The part where Entei blasts Ash
Oh,
off
yeah,
of a cliff and
Yep.
Charizard comes out of nowhere and saves him.
Yeah, the swoop. Or I
Yeah,
guess the
then we
swoop.
get,
I was going to say swoop
Entei
in, but it's more of a
versus
swoop
Charizard.
up. But yeah.
So sick. Love that scene.
Yeah.
Love that movie. Had it on DVD.
I had it on DVD as well, I think. I have all 3 Pokemon movies in some physical format. I honestly think Pokemon the first movie is in VHS.
All
Oh,
three?
the first
You're
3.
missing you're missing like 20 movies there.
The 3 full theatrical releases in the Western Hemisphere.
Nope, Pokemon Forever was also
yeah.
released in theaters.
Well, my collection's worth it. I'm going to throw it all
and
out.
I'm pretty sure the 5th movie was also released.
Yeah,
in
I think you
theaters.
might actually be right.
Which
But
one
were
was the
those
fifth
limited
one?
runs or full
It was the one
releases?
with Latios and Latias.
That was a limited run, I think.
I think it was called Heroes. No, I gotta look
Anytime I hear Heroes, I just think Sonic Heroes.
Yeah, Pokemon Heroes.
So,
I'm pretty sure Jirachi Wishmaker was also in theaters.
but those are like.
Oh, no, it was, no, it
like
wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Those are like limited engagement, limited run, 1 weekend only things, weren't they? I'm talking like Warner Brothers being like, yeah, we're going to put this out like a real movie. That's what I mean. Those first 3 were like that. Maybe the 4th too. But
the English adaptation was produced by 4Kids and distributed by Miramax Films, which was released on May 16th. No, that was an actual theatrical release.
wow. And that's interesting. Miramax. So Disney
film.
distributed Pokemon at one point? That's interesting.
The film, okay, you're right. In North America, the film had a limited run in theaters, only opening with 196. Opening at the same time as Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Wow. That's weird to think about how long ago that was. Like 2003 or 2005 or something. Man, we're old now. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, on from anime, let's go into, let's see.
What do you feel like?
Yeah.
I feel like I
Dealer's
want
choice.
to talk about the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Oh snap!
Also a relic of an old time. That was
You want to get into Snap?
2007.
We can get into Snap.
I haven't played Snap in a while. Although I wouldn't mind listening to what's going on in Snap. I mean, is Discard still a thing?
Discard is still very much a thing.
What about Destroy? Oh, you said Null was a thing, so that makes sense.
Yeah, Null is a thing.
Oh, of course it
Move
is.
decks are like this redheaded stepchilds now.
Are they not getting better?
No,
What about Bounce? Like, I know Kitty...
no one plays. Oh, actually, every player is gonna get Kitty Pryde for free.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
because of how busted she was.
Damn, I didn't expect that. So they're like, well, we can't nerf her, so we'll just give her to everybody.
Pretty much. They did slightly nerf her, but I forgot what it was. But they did slightly nerf her, yes.
Damn.
So yeah. Anyways,
But yeah, Resident Evil 4. So yeah, I finally had a chance to actually sit down and play a single player game for a while. I don't know what happened with the alignment of the planets, but hopefully it happens again soon. But yeah, I got to play through, I think it's like the first act of the game. And yes, this is my first time playing. No, that's not necessarily true. This is the longest or the furthest I've gotten in any version of Resident Evil 4, because I know it's like on basically every platform ever. which is funny for a game that was supposed to be a GameCube exclusive, but
Yeah, they literally went 2005 to like GameCube, and then every year since, like, and this system, and this system, and this system.
it's on
Anyway,
iOS at some point. I don't know, it has so many
I
ports.
think it was on. You could probably play it on a smart fridge at this point, or like a washing machine.
Yeah. But, that game had so much notoriety. Like, everyone knows Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 is really special. It's always Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 2. But I feel like, and it's obviously this could be way out wrong, but it feels like Resident Evil 4 is typically heralded as the best Resident Evil period. I know Resident Evil 2 is really close, but yeah, the closest I got was buying it on Wii, which I've also heard is probably one of the best versions of it because of the controls. Played maybe the first hour, it was probably less, and just stopped. I wasn't really fully into Resident Evil yet. But then obviously, we've gushed about these games ad nauseum. Like Resident Evil 2 came out, the remake, fell in love with that. Revelations, also fell in love with that one. Still haven't played any of the OG versions of the Resident Evil 2 or 3. And of course, they eventually got to Resident Evil 4, which, admittedly, from what I've heard, obviously, because I haven't played the originals, is, while it is a full remake, it's not a full remake like Resident Evil 2 was, because that was, single point camera, single perspective camera. It's, controls are just way different. You're going from what do you even call it? I guess it's still isometric static camera game.
People used to jokingly call it tank controls.
Tank controls, yeah.
Yeah, tank controls with an isometric static camera to a third person over the shoulder view. Which, I don't know, they just made it work. It was scary. It felt like I was in a escape room that could kill me. It was great. 3 felt more like let's do the escape room, but also make it more of an action movie and more scripted. So it just felt less tense because everything was scripted for the most part, which was disappointing because Nemesis was built up to be Mr. X but on steroids. And then 4 doesn't really have a Mr. X or a Nemesis. At least one that has gotten a lot of fame like those two did, because
does have an enemy that was like, holy crap, this character is in here, but that's pretty much it. Or more like this enemy is in here. It was something sort of not seen in Resident Evil 4.
Huh. Well, I guess I'll get to that eventually. But
yeah, you will.
But yeah, otherwise, like, expectations were pretty tempered. I need to be excited, but also just to be ready for a different Resident Evil, because it wasn't going to be an escape room. Because I think that is still my preferred Resident Evil, where something is hunting you down, but you also have to solve a bunch of puzzles. This one, so far, like in the first 5-6 hours that I've played, has felt more like a slower paced Call of Duty campaign, with the same controls as Resident Evil 2, or the same mechanics. Because so far I've done a lot of running and gunning, a lot of shotgunning to crowds of people, and that doesn't sound very Resident Evil-ish, but that's kind of the whole point of this game. It was kind of giving it a fresh coat of paint. And I've only been a little disappointed so far because I haven't gotten I've gotten one jump scare in the beginning. But then I've just been finding these villagers, these Spaniards, so much that they've kind of lost their scariness. Because the first time you run into them, you're in a claustrophobic area, and then you try to run around the corner and they're there, and then you run to another corner and they're there, and you're like, whoa. And you have limited ammo, and it's scary. But then the second time, you're kind of already just got reloaded. I was also playing it on the standard difficulty, so it's not like I'm playing it on easier, but I feel like I always have enough ammo to mow down everybody. And by the time I got to the third big encounter right now, it's another horde of them, but there's those exploding barrels everywhere, and it's just explosions. And then these villagers also have catchphrases they really love to say over and over again. They'll say something like, no puedes correr, pero no te puedes esconder. Or, That's another fun one. Like, ahí estás, or te veo. And then, oh god. Well, and for those that don't know Spanish, they were just saying, you can run, but you can't hide. There you are. I see you. And the one they repeat, almost, this one almost to a comically, like, immersion breaking point. They'll say, like, here it comes. But, and, they'll say, ahí va eso. Pretty much, their villagers are always throwing axes at you or dynamite. And, yeah, they feel the need to, call that out to you. Like, the first time was funny. I guess it was never scary or whatever it was meant to be. But, yeah, why do they have to yell that out for every single thing they throw? But, otherwise, like, the way they move around is awesome. Like, they still, like, they do a good job of making the gunplay difficult. Because, like, the characters, like, the enemies, like, those villagers I mentioned, as they walk towards you, like, they shamble around in unpredictable ways. Like, even Leon, like, is almost never still, which sounds annoying if you're trying to get a headshot because the enemies are constantly bobbing back and forth unpredictably. And Leon is also, like, kind of unable to keep his arm still. So, like, I miss a lot of shots. And when you miss one shot, like, it takes forever to reload. And then during that time, they, like, wind up and will, like, hit you with the axe. So, you have to either be very patient and careful with your shots, or you have to, like, you have to think on the fly a lot. Like, as a game, like, just as a video game, I'm having a ton of fun with it. Like, it feels like a survival action horror. Maybe less on the horror.
Yep. You nailed it.
But that's pretty much what this game feels like. Because I'm not getting scared. If anything, I'm going like, oh, that's cool. Or like, oh, damn, that's badass. But for the most part, yeah, I haven't been going like, oh, what's that? But
yeah, this game is decidedly not a survival horror game the same way the first three games are.
Which is partly why it was such a big deal when it came out, is it was so different from what horror games were considered to be at that point. Like, it was such a game pivot.
This game was I actually saw a documentary on Resident Evil 4 like a few days ago. Resident Evil 4 started out, and the game that was started off as Resident Evil 4 essentially turned into Devil May Cry.
That's interesting.
Yep. Like, the prototype that they started with eventually just turned into Devil May Cry.
I do recall when they first announced Resident Evil 4 when it was part of the Capcom 5. I don't know if you guys remember the GameCube days. There's this huge thing. Those third-party support. And then the Capcom 5. Piano 3, Resident Evil 4, Beautiful Joe, great game. And then two dead ones that never came to light, Dead Phoenix and Killer 7 came out. So only one never made it, which was Dead Phoenix. But funny name. Yeah, and I remember in the original footage of Resident Evil 4 at that presentation, that, watching the low res version of it on IGN or whatever, it looked like a normal Resident Evil. Is Leon going to like a dark hallway, and it was like, kind of like lightning in the windows, and it seemed like have a mansion, and then it disappeared for a while. And when it came back, it was this totally different thing in what Resident Evil 4 now is. And that, I think, like, yeah, it was really, it's such an interesting slice of time, essentially, like, yeah.
For it to turn to Devil May Cry, though, or at least one of the versions, sounds kind of crazy. I wonder if, like...
Yeah, that's wild.
I wonder if it was all right, no such thing as a stupid idea. What's the next Resident Evil going to be? Like, all right, I got an idea for you. What if we do no horror, just pure, like, balls to the walls action? I haven't played a Devil May Cry, but I'm guessing that's kind of how the pitch went. And then...
I mean, Devil May Cry is kind of like Bayonetta in a way. So if you play Bayonetta, you have a rough idea of how insane it can be, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of similar.
Yep.
In fact, I think the guy who did Bayonetta worked on Devil May Cry before they spun off to do Platinum,
right.
Didn't they?
Kamiya? I want to say.
Yeah.
Hideki Kamiya.
Yeah, so that's
who was originally in charge of Resident Evil 4.
Damn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the web of people that come out of Capcom that have gone to do various things, it's very interesting to, like, trace it. Same with Sega.
Well, what is Inafune up to?
I don't know what he's up to in Yuji. I don't know what it is about the mascot guys, because, yeah, Inafune, I don't know what he's doing, but Yuji Naka's been arrested twice for insider trading at Square Enix. So
Jeez.
again, I'm going to repeat that twice. He got arrested. So, and it's great because every news story about it, he was wearing his what's it called? The game that came out, the bad platformer, Wonderworld.
Balan Wonderland?
Balan Wonderland, yeah, whatever it was. He's, like when he did the presentation, he was wearing like an outfit like Nintendo used to do with their developers. They had like a top hat and like a white suit. Every story about how he got arrested twice had that picture, and it was just so perfect. Anyway, sorry, I digress. You were saying?
Yeah, that's Resident Evil 4. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to playing more of it, but yeah, I'm just gonna have to, like if people ask me like, oh, what do you think? Like, how do you rank it compared to the other Resident Evils? Like, that's already like I already know it's already gonna be like oh well, as a Resident Evil game, but then it's like this is Resident Evil to a lot of people, so it's just. I just have to accept there's two kinds of Resident Evils in the main timeline. I mean, I guess that's always been the case.
Just like there are like 7 types of Kirby's and 2 types of Mario.
I mean,
and 2 types of Zelda.
I guess it's not even types. I guess it's just, I guess finally playing through the transition to an action game because, and you can see it, like Resident Evil 1, you're just in one mansion this whole time, ultimate puzzle escape room, slow-paced horror zombies. Resident Evil 2, you have a couple different locations, like the police station, you have some secret labs, but still just a findy stuff mystery, but, the action's a little bigger. There's a couple explosions here and there, but for the most part, it's still self-contained, puzzle findy game. And then 3, both in the original and the remake, I know is where, you have more action set pieces and it's less of a puzzle game. And I guess 4, I mean, the rest is history. 5 is definitely more along the lines of 4 as far as
My favorite game of all time.
And 6 just went full on Call of Duty. Like that one, like unapologetically.
One of my least favorite games of all time.
I was gonna say it's interesting from 1 to 4. It's really interesting, not to get too heady about it, but you could really see. I feel like
the mutation.
Yeah, not just the transformation, but like not the mutation. No, but the how they were able to use the limited technology to the best of their ability, and how as they start to better understand the technology and then get newer technology and more advanced systems and whatever, more advanced consoles, how they were able to kind of grow into something more. Like, I feel like with a Mario game, it's like, oh yeah, it's 8-bit, then it's 32-bit, then it was 3D. But like Resident Evil was in the same, like going from like isometric, isolated puzzles to, okay, we can get a little more explosive and go multiple environments. Okay, now we can do like a little more action. Like to see it like grow in that way is kind of interesting. It's like a path of how game industry technology grew in a way. Like I said, I was getting heady, but it's kind of interesting.
But yeah, it's kind of nice. It is a nice kind of clean transition, and then after 5 it gets a little interesting. Oh yeah, and then I guess it just comes full circle. I guess it's just cyclical because after 6, they obviously went like, well, this is not working, and they basically went back to what 1 was.
Soft reboot. Yep.
Oh, yeah, and then 8 is just 1 but with more locations. So I guess 9 is
8 is 2,
yeah,
and 9 is 3, and 10 will be 4.
Yep. But
so, Kevin, your next all-time favorite game is going to be Resident Evil 11, based on this math. So get ready.
Fingers crossed.
But yeah, ultimately, still looking to play more of it. It's great, but if someone asks me what's my favorite Resident Evil game, well, we'll see what happens. But I feel it's most likely still going to be 2, just based on the fact I prefer that kind. But you never know. Maybe there's some locations that are going to satisfy that because I feel like I've just scratched the surface, but it's exciting. But yeah, that's Resident Evil 4. Finn.
Do you say Finn
and
at the
on
end?
to
And
on to another remake.
Ah, yes.
Advance Wars 1+2.
Reboot Camp. Yes.
Reboot Camp.
Yeah, I feel like it's funny because we were just like I feel like we can't talk about Advance Wars. So I should back up. I bought Advance Wars. I've had since Friday. I'm a few missions in. It's a remake though, so I feel like I kind of talk about the systems at play. But I also feel like you can't. Well, first of all, I'm the only one that bought it, right? I'm assuming.
You are
yes.
correct.
Yeah, and that's part of my thing I want to talk about. Is like I want more people to buy it, but I feel like you can't really talk about Advance Wars without talking about Fire Emblem. Like in the same way you're talking about how like Resident Evil begot other Resident Evils. Like I feel like Advance Wars and Fire Emblem are this weird intertwined thing, because if you rewind the clock to when Nintendo first brought Advance Wars and Fire Emblem to the West in like the GBA days, we are really living in the GameCube and Game Boy era in this episode, aren't we? But when they first brought those games over, they were well established in Japan. But the first time it came to the West, it was actually Advance Wars that led the charge, and it was the success of Advance Wars that I think gave Nintendo the confidence to then localize Fire Emblem. But then that kind of weird thing happened where Fire Emblem was the one that blew up and became one of Nintendo's bigger franchises, and Advance Wars just kind of like petered out, which for me, I was bummed about the fact that like Fire Emblem was a ton of fun, but I was bummed about the fact that Advance Wars kind of disappeared, because I've always preferred Advance Wars. I think because the underlying structure of the gameplay, which I'll probably get to in a moment, but also like the more modern setting, the lighter tone. So I feel like in talking about Reboot Camp, it's less of me just talking about Reboot Camp. It's more of like me wanting to convince everyone to go buy it and support the franchise. Because, like, here's the other thing. The game just is not being marketed well, like, at all. Like, Nintendo announced the release date in February, right? And then only started uploading videos to their YouTube and tweeting about it, like, 2 weeks ago. And none of the initial videos and tweets even had gameplay footage. They didn't show gameplay footage until this past week, the week it came out. Obviously, they showed some years ago, but I mean in, like, this kind of relaunch of it. And now there's, like, stories of physical copies being undershipped to stores, kind of like what happened with Metroid Prime Remastered. And I don't even think the game's getting a Japanese release at all, which is weird. So there's that hurdle to overcome. And then, of course, Tears of the Kingdom is out in a few weeks. That's going to overshadow Advance Wars completely. And you know, understandably, a lot of this, I think it's kind of an extension of Nintendo's choice to initially delay the game for, like, a full year, if not longer, due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So
really
I kind of get why it's... Yeah, it's supposed to come out, I think, February or April of 21, and then they bumped it to now. Or no, not 21, 22, and then they bumped it now to 23. Yeah, and obviously it just came out. But yeah, nonetheless, like, regardless of why they're not promoting it, like, I don't see a scenario where if the game underperforms, we get any more Advance Wars. Like, Fire Emblem is Nintendo's, like, strategy game bread and butter. So this is them seeing if maybe, I don't even know how it works. It's like everyone loves that type of bread, and they're like, well, what if you also like this other kind of similar type of bread that we just found the old recipe for, and maybe we're going to cook it up and see if you like it. And that's a horrible analogy, but whatever, I'm running with it. But seriously, there's just, like, enough here in this re-release to tease what, like, a true, modern, new Advance Wars could be, and that's exciting. And it's great because, like, there is a ton of content in this game. There's like 50 hours worth, and, you know, 2 full campaigns and multiplayer stuff like that. But it'd be so great to see if this can get fleshed out further in the future. And I think most people, the more people that pick up the game, well, one, I think most people are gonna be happy to get a real one after the remake, but more like a real new one. But more of the point, like, the more people that pick up the game, the better chance there is of getting a real one. So with that in mind, I feel like there's almost 2 audiences I kind of want to direct my impressions to. First are the folks who have never played back in the day and why you should care. And then second are those who have. So, to folks who have never played Advance Wars, you guys have both played Advance Wars, right?
Yeah,
Really?
Advance Wars.
There's a yes and a not really. Is that what I caught there?
Yeah. I've only
Well,
ever played the local multiplayer game where you're, like, shooting at each other in real time and spawning tanks and...
Wait, what? You're talking about Battalion Wars. That's a spinoff.
No. This was
On
Advance
GameCube?
Wars. I think this was on DS. So this was probably the sequel.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, there was, like, a
That's
local
not, I mean, it's
multiplayer
Advance
mode.
Wars, but it's not. Yeah.
That's the closest I've gone to playing Advance Wars in general.
Cool. So I'm catering to each of you with my different impression because we got one who hasn't and one who has. So for folks who've never played it back in the day, I'm sure the biggest question is, like, what makes this different from Fire Emblem besides that weird mode you played, Angel? And you know, how dare I say I like it better than Fire Emblem, right? Like, Fire Emblem's this massive franchise. How can I like Advance Wars better? And ultimately, I think it boils down to, I guess what I consider, like, the simplicity of Advance Wars. This is what I was sort of saying before when I was like, I've got the underlying approach to gameplay, like, I'll come back to that. This is what I'm talking about. Like, which is not to say that the gameplay itself is simple. But the core gameplay hook is so much more straightforward of a pitch than Fire Emblem. Like, Advance Wars is just a plain old strategy game. You're giving your units, You start your mission, you have some rock, paper, scissors type systems, and off you go. That's it. Fire Emblem, on the other hand, of course, leans more heavily into the RPG trappings. Each character on the battlefield is this unique person you care about. They have their own backstory. They have their own stats that carry from battle to battle. Obviously, the whole permadeath thing will make you think differently about your soldiers should you enable it as the Fire Emblem gods originally intended you to. Advanced Wars, by comparison, is just like, hey, here's a new map, here's a new scenario, here's some troops, have fun. Which, again, is not to say there isn't strategy within the layers of how you approach the battles in Advanced Wars. Be it which units are good or bad against each other, what terrain to traverse, and how you can like bolster or hinder your matchups based on where you are physically on the map, how you lay out your units, how to handle this whole fog of war mechanic that hides enemies from view until you can send certain scouts or recon units to see more of the map. Like all that stuff. There's like a really great interplay between that and the various systems, along with an entire whole other system on top of that called CO powers or commanding officer powers. So these are you have a leader. These are the characters. So instead of being like individual soldiers, you have like these leaders, and these leaders have different abilities and special powers. If you fill up your meter, maybe one like Andy can boost the health and ammo of your units, or some of them can change like weather conditions and things like that. So that's just another variable on top of the multiple stacks of rock, paper, scissors choices you already have to make. But I think the thing about it is Advanced Wars exists in a way that is very complementary of Fire Emblem because of those differences. The second, I don't know if you guys remember the second Advanced Wars on DS, Days of Ruin, it kind of deviated a little, like it devalued the role of COs and their powers and moved a bit more in like a Fire Emblem direction, which I think probably maybe hurt the franchise by starting to blend what was a clear distinction in each series' approach to strategy. But with Reboot Camp, it's still very complimentary of Fire Emblem as it ever was in the early days. So my hope is a lot of folks who maybe came in through Three Houses or Engage on the Switch, they can enjoy Advanced Wars because while similar in a lot of ways, it's also something that could very easily stand on its own and have its own strategy and do its own thing. And I personally have always skewed in the direction of that with Advanced Wars. I guess, Angel, it's not really a question for you, but Kevin, you've played both franchises. Which do you tend to like more?
I mean, it's been forever since I had played a Advance Wars that like I would need to play Reboot Camp in order to decide which one I like better. Like,
yeah,
because I loved Fire Emblem Awakening. That was probably one of my favorite games of all time on 3DS. Advance Wars didn't have that.
And none of this, to be fair, is a knock against Fire Emblem. It's its own beast and it's its own great beast. I'm just sort of like, listen, if you like Fire Emblem, there's enough difference here to care about Advance Wars too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's only part of the potential audience the game can reach, right? Like the folks who've never played, like here's why you'd be interested. It has these different strategies, different systems. But the other group, the ones that represent you and me, Kevin, they're probably a decent chunk of people listening to this actually, and those are people already well versed in Advance Wars. And on that front, I think there's a few things that jump out in Reboot. Oh, on that front. Ha! But on that front, I think there's a few things that jump out in Reboot Camp. Online play, new graphics, quality of life improvements. Those are the biggies. I'm actually going to go down that list in reverse now. I'm going to go backwards. So the one that I think has had the biggest impact on my playthrough so far has been the quality of life stuff. Like, frankly, I have no idea how I used to play Advanced Wars without ever having the reset turn option that now exists. So at any time during your turn, you can just unwind everything you just did in the turn and start again. I've used it so many times already after realizing I made a tactical error. I have a better way I could do things. It's just so much better than back in the day when I cleverly thought, oh, if I hit save and then quit and then restart the game, I can just undo what I did. Like, this is just so much easier. It's so nice. But there's other good stuff too. Like, I remember back in the day, and I don't know, Cam, if you remember experiencing this, but the AI could kind of cheat at Fog of War scenarios. Like I was saying before, for just as a refresher for those who don't know, Fog of War basically is this major mechanic of the game, even more so in Advanced Wars 2. But in Advanced Wars 1 in particular, it's this major mechanic in which parts of the map are hidden from your opponent, so you can strategically like set up units and, lay traps, and your enemy would be none the wiser, all that jazz. But in at least Advanced Wars 1, the problem was I always felt like the computer-controlled enemy could kind of see right through the fog of war. And, obviously that would make it hard to lay traps. But so far, and admittedly I'm not super far into the game, but so far, it looks like the AI doesn't see right through the fog anymore. Like, I can actually lure them away and lay traps and do everything that you would think you'd be doing if you were playing in a Fog of War scenario against a real person, just against the computer in single player. And that's a revelation in a weird way. It's like, it's a minor thing, but it's also kind of a major thing compared to the old Advance Wars. Even the way the units move, like, they used to, especially in Advance Wars 1, always stick to the same basic moves. And you could kind of like figure out, oh, if I go around this, they'll do that, and then I could do this. This time they actually are responding to you, so they behave differently, which is kind of cool. The other biggie is that there's a fast forward button now. So if you hold ZR, you can now watch everything play out, battle animations, all of it, but you don't have to sit through the whole thing at normal speed, which sounds like a no-duh type of thing in 2023, but it never existed in the original. And it's nice to have it, and I find myself using it a lot because you do still want to see what the troops are doing. You want to see where they're moving, but you don't necessarily need them to go at that pace. You don't necessarily need to see the full drawn-out attack animation. And there's a way to turn off the animations entirely, but I still like having them on some level. But it's nice to have the fast forward. And another favorite thing that they added of mine, as silly as this may sound, the inclusion of a new casual difficulty. So the original difficulty is still there for those who want it. It's now called Classic. And I believe you can still unlock hard after completing the campaign, just like in the GBA days. But Advance Wars, to be honest, Advance Wars can be a tricky game, even in standard play. Like, as a kid, I've sometimes struggled with it. Here, so far, there's been a couple missions I'm like, And I feel like, I honestly feel like it's kind of a side effect of it not being as focused on individual units as Fire Emblem is, in that, like, the game's a bit more brutal with how even the CPUs will treat their troops. So they'll kind of make more outlandish moves you're sometimes up against and have to deal with. And I think, having this casual difficulty and then having the ability to switch that difficulty essentially on the fly at any time for your, save file is really nice. You do have to back out of the battle and go like the main screen, but you can back out. Another nice perk. You can back out of the battle at any time and it will save your place in the battle. You do not have to finish the battle in that sitting like you did in the old days, which again goes back to what I was saying, where like one of the things I think Advance Wars does well that Fire Emblem kind of doesn't is because it's a little more sort of sliced up and you're not caring about troops over a long period of time and stuff, it's more pick up and play friendly. And having the fact that you could just like stop a battle in the middle of battle, not even just put your system in the home menu or like hit home and leave it suspended, but actually turn off the game and do something else and come back and you'll still remember where you were in the battle. That's nice. That's a really nice thing. So if you put all these things together, they make the game feel really fresh, especially in terms of like I was saying, how enemies actually handle themselves differently in the field. And then when you couple it with like the new 3D graphics, it really does kind of feel like a new experience. But about those graphics, they've been kind of a hot button issue. How do you guys feel about how the game looks? I mean, you've seen some footage, I'm sure. It's not sprites anymore.
Fine. Like,
yeah,
it's an offense. Like, I never looked at the game and thought like, whoa, this game looks dated or bad or anything. Like, I mean, it looked.
I haven't had much of that either, personally.
I mean, I kind of like,
right.
If anything, I like the aesthetic. I like the simplistic, clean, like cartoony look. I mean, it's definitely more on the anime side, but it's always had an appealing aesthetic. I mean, obviously a lot of orange, so I mean, you already won me over. So
yeah, right. But yeah, I think the 3D looks pretty good. I mean, Kevin, did you have opinion one way or another when they did finally show gameplay of this?
I think it looks fine.
Okay, see, we're all sane people.
That sort of like little like toolbox, like not toolbox, like
a toy, like a little toy set.
Yeah, a little toy set. Yeah,
like a tabletop game. Yeah. And I think like it's interesting because some of the diehard fans online are like, oh my god, they like made it so like it's toys now, which is the game's always been like hard. But I will admit it does take a little getting used to when you're actually playing. Because one thing I noticed is that telling the difference between like the small and medium sized tanks, or really any unit that looks kind of similar like that, it's a bit harder to tell. Because back in the Game Boy days, it was flat art with like bold outlines and these 2D sprites, and now it's like these little 3D all orange polygonal tanks, and then these other little 3D all orange polygonal tanks, and one has a slightly bigger gun than the other. So it takes a little bit, but as I kept playing, I've grown more accustomed to the look and feel, as well as gotten over that hump of unit identification. Partly because one other nice feature they added, now that I think about it, is if you hit the shoulder button, you can actually, when you have the unit selected, it brings up a little mini menu about the unit type and the stats and some pros and cons of it and other details. Like they really try to make it very approachable for people. But one aspect I did really like about the graphics that some people don't seem to, like I was saying, the toy aesthetic, like the little toys on a board. I think up until Days of Ruin on DS, which is a whole nother conversation, the game was very lighthearted for a game about war. So that the toy box thing, yeah, I'm totally cool with that too. Angel, I know you mentioned the characters and the kind of anime look. Yeah, they definitely have been put through like the way forward like character design filter of sorts, but I think they look good. Yeah, and they have more personality now. They animate and they're 3D and stuff, so it's a nice touch. But the last thing I wanted to touch on that's new are the online aspects. So if you have any friends, real life or online, that are into Advance Wars, this alone could be worth buying the whole package because you can play against anyone on your friends list online. But you can also create custom maps and share those maps and play those maps with your friends online. So you basically have an unlimited number of maps, if you think about it. And both of those are super cool options to be able to do, play online and do it on custom maps. Like if you had, like I'm thinking back to when I was in middle school in the Game Boy Advance days, and my friend, I grew up in Montana, he still lives in Montana. We both played Advance Wars. Like the fact that I can now play Advance Wars with him for the first time in like 15 years is super cool. Or if you're like part of a Discord group or whatever, it makes total sense. That said, this is also where a point I raised at the start of my impression, Joey, comes into play. This feels like a tease of what a modern Advance Force could be. Like Reboot Camp feels like it's just a tease of what's to come. Because like, yes, we do have online multiplayer, but only for people on your friends list. There's no random matchmaking. They do have those online custom maps, right? But again, there's no system in place to browse ones made by strangers. You have to go find them on the internet and get the code or whatever. Like there's the fresh coat of paint, there's the improved AI, there's the quality of life improvements. They're all great, but they're on existing scenarios from games on the Game Boy. Like none of this is a problem per se. I mean, whether you're new or revisiting the franchise or whatever, there's so much to play and do. 2 full campaigns, unlockable challenges. There's a whole new in-game currency system I didn't even mention where like you earn coins by doing stuff with single player that you can then spend on like extra unlockables and art, and like you can unlock commanding officers to use outside the sequence of the story when you want and like stuff like that. Obviously the online stuff. It is a very full package and it's one you're going to get mileage out of for sure, but it's also like kind of selfishly here. It's just I just want everyone to buy this so we can get like the true new next gen Advance Wars that we've deserved for the last like 15 years. Like give us random matchmaking, not just people and maybe make it asynchronous. So like if you're playing and your opponent's playing, you guys could like play when you want and not play at the same time. It'd be great as like a smartphone game even, or like give us like new units and new strategies. I mean, from Advance Wars 1 to 2, you only gain the Neo Tank. That's the only new unit. Way forward when they redid the characters, they added some very light voice acting. Actually, Andy, funny enough, I'm 99.9% sure that Andy is voiced by the same person who was Ash's original voice in Pokemon. Sounds identical. But like they got these voice actors, take it a step further, do full voice acting. There's a great like animated opening cutscene when you first boot up the game, like a cinematic. Do those throughout the game, not just a one and done. Like Reboot Camp is laying a really great foundation for what a really cool Advance Wars comeback can look like. And it's doing so with a lot of bang for your buck in terms of content. Quality content, in fact, but it's just making me really want that next Advance Wars. So that means people need to buy it. So go buy it. That's what I'm saying. But no, it's really cool. It's a really fun package, and I hope it does bring back the franchise in a bigger way because it's good stuff. Good stuff. Anyway, that's all I got.
I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna still get anytime soon, just because. Yeah, I guess
if the franchise never comes back, it's your fault. Personally yours. Yes.
I'm not giving it false hope. I mean, I'm just not the target audience. Like, I never really got into Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem for that matter. And I mean,
it's fine because I never was super deep into strategy games, but there's something about like, it's like in the same way that like I prefer more linear experiences or more like bite-sized ones or like structured ones. Like this does that because all the maps are like individual battles. Like your units don't transfer over. There's nothing you need to grind against. It's just like, here you go, you did a map. So like, yeah, it's very Nintendo-fied in a way.
Well, maybe one century.
1 century. How many centuries do you plan on living for, Angel?
At least 2.
You're going to be 200 years old?
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Well, technically you have lived for 2, the 1900s and the 2000s.
Oh,
so I guess you could check
he
that
just has
box.
to make it to the 2200s?
If he makes it to 2100s, he'll be 3 centuries at that point.
Oh. Oh, you're good.
But
You're good.
he'd also be 121 or 111, which I guess is possible.
Well, that's good.
Nice.
Then my
Anyway.
pipe dreams are plausible. But yeah.
Yeah. Let's continue this Nintendo trade, yeah?
Okay.
What is Nintendo Live?
Yeah. What do you think of Nintendo Live? This was out of left field, what Nintendo announced. Do you guys know about Nintendo Live? Like what they actually announced?
Nope.
No.
Okay, so basically, sometime in September in the city of Seattle, Nintendo's doing their own convention essentially, which I find kind of fascinating because like these sorts of things are so few and far between for Nintendo. Like they've done stuff in the past, like if you go way back, they did like the Wii Summer Games where they built like a 2-story tent, actually like 5 minutes from my parents' house here in LA, which was a little weird. But yeah, and they had like all these games and these events and these tournaments and things going on. It was like a weekend. But like this is big. This is a convention. And, you know, it's at a time when Nintendo's marketing strategy actually is sort of like tempering my hype more than I would expect. Like if this was 2001 and they were like, we're going to bring Space World to America, I would have been losing my mind. But the way they're presenting this and what it is and what they've been doing lately, I'm kind of like, oh, okay. So for those unaware, like you guys, in September in Seattle, they're billing this event as an all-ages celebration of Nintendo fun where you can, and I quote, share the excitement of playing games together, enjoy live stage performances, and more across a large-scale themed area. Whether you and your family are new to the games, characters, and worlds of Nintendo or are lifelong fans, everyone's welcome to have fun. So that is Nintendo Live. E3 it is not, it sounds like. Like it sounds very kid-friendly. Which, to be fair, the existing Japanese ones they've done for a couple years are. But yeah, it sounds less like a come play new games and more like a, you like Mario Kart? We're going to have a tournament and you can meet Mario type of event. You know what I mean?
I want to meet Mario.
But,
Again.
I mean, yeah, who wouldn't want to meet Mario? But I do, the thing that's intriguing to me, he won't, he might. I don't know why I didn't play along. It's like, he
came to my house.
Who knows? Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was there. I won you that opportunity. Exactly. But is that the same Mario? The costumes have changed over like 3 times since then. And
wait. What do you mean? Why would it not be the same Mario? That was Mario.
You're right. It's the same Mario. He just got plastic surgery a couple times over. That must be it. I will say, for what it's worth, the Mario costumes that went to your house for that Mario Party are the definitive in my mind, like Mario. Like every Mario costume character since that they've reinvented has gotten weirder to me. One of them looks like they're high on mushrooms. Like the eyes are super weird. Huh. The ones at Universal are a little funky because they blink. Like none of them quite hit the mark in the way that the ones that went to your house did. So you got the definitive Mario, at least.
Damn, that's pretty cool.
I bet you didn't expect me to have a thought on the Mario costumes, but I've been stewing on this for a long time.
Spared no expense.
So, yeah. But, no, the thing that sounds interesting about Nintendo Live to me is the live stage performance thing. Because in Japan, they do Animal Crossing and Splatoon concerts. And they use the Tupac hologram technology to put the Squid Sisters and KK Slider, like, on stage. And they do, like,
so that's where those come from?
Band performances. Correct. So they're bringing that to America.
Splatoon one. But
yeah.
That's cool.
So that, to me, makes this whole thing potentially worth it, even if nothing else besides that and like photo ops is really worth talking about. That should be cool. And I also wonder, yeah.
I like how Tupac hologram technology is just what we're using.
Yeah.
so that we're all on board as to what they're using and what it means.
I don't know. Like they never made a real name for that, did they?
I never even saw footage of this technology in action, but I know exactly what you're talking about because that's just all I ever knew it as.
It's funny how that sort of culture takes over whatever it's really called. But yeah, so they did that. That'd be cool. And I thought it was interesting too. I don't know if you guys paid any attention. The Game Awards are doing a 10-year celebration at the Hollywood Bowl. You guys do know about this because we texted about it. But yeah, so Nintendo's not at all involved in a celebration of the past decade of gaming at the Hollywood Bowl. And according to Jeff Keighley, it wasn't because they didn't want, like, he didn't try. Nintendo wasn't interested. And that's got me like, well, if Nintendo's bowing out of a Hollywood Bowl, LA Philharmonic best of Game Award music where they've had a Game Award winner, like in Zelda, if they're not doing that, what are they doing in terms of these live performances at Nintendo Live? Because it feels like a no-brainer to do the Hollywood Bowl show unless you're doing your own show. So, I don't know what that's going to turn into. That could be cool. Side note, the lineup of the Hollywood Bowl show is really weird. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
I mean, it didn't feel weird because, I mean, I was just hoping for more Nintendo. I was hoping for Nintendo. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, that sounded like Nintendo said no, not anyone else. But no, the thing I find weird about it is, so it's a celebration of 10 years of gaming, and they have about 2 years of gaming, and then they have like a show based on a game, and then 3 of the games are licensed properties from other mediums. So they don't have Mario, they don't have Zelda, they don't have, I don't know, Crash Bandicoot, but they have Spider-Man, they have Harry Potter with Hogwarts Legacy, they have Star Wars, and yes, those are big properties in gaming too, but it feels like if you're like, gaming, let's celebrate the music of gaming, being like, by the way, here's the theme from Star Wars, doesn't quite count? I don't know. Like, usually I'm a huge supporter of Jeff Keighley's stuff with the Game Awards, but this one I'm just kind of like, it feels a little too like it's marketing and not enough like it's an actual like concert reflecting on the industry's successes. And I understand his hands are tied to some degree, but it's just like, I don't know. Like, I had really high hopes for that show, and I'm not getting tickets because I was like, oh, there's no game, there's no Nintendo, and like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, Nintendo Live. Yeah, I was gonna say that I sort of touched on this, but they've done these in Japan for the last few years, and those events tend to focus on like currently available games more than upcoming ones, and I think that might be what makes or breaks it for me if I go. I don't know if you guys have any interest in going, like a little randomer Nintendo road trip to Seattle in September, but
potentially, I still want to go to Seattle. So I mean,
so this could be a good reason,
but
I don't really know. Like, Nintendo's marketing lately, like, so they did PAX East about 3 weeks ago, right? And I think that's the tone of what to expect from Nintendo Live. So they had tournaments, which is cool, around Mario Kart and Splatoon. And then they had a booth. Here's the lineup of the booth. And again, this isn't catering to us at this point. It's fine. They're carrying people who don't own Switches, who aren't the diehards. Here's the booth. Mario Party Superstars, Mario Golf Super Rush, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Yoshi's Crafted World, and the original NES Super Mario Bros. That was their booth. They had nothing that was released in the past year or coming out this year. Just thought that's kind of interesting. Even like when we went to Comic-Con last year, they had all currently released games, not unreleased or upcoming ones. So I would very much expect that Nintendo Live, if we're going for the performances, we're going for the stage show, we're not, or the photo ops, we're not going for the games, which is weird to say about a Nintendo event. Unless you want to play the original NES Mario, which honestly, I never will say no to the original NES Mario. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, as if I haven't already been saying it for months with how Nintendo's marketing old Mario games for the Mario movie and stuff like that, I feel like it's now more than ever with PAX East and with how they're sort of positioning Nintendo Live as not being about upcoming games. Like, they aren't saying anywhere you can demo unreleased games or new games. They literally do not say anything about upcoming releases like they would for E3. But I feel like this all points to that we are very firmly in the phase of like the evergreen era for the Switch. I mean, even sales-wise, there's been no Nintendo game in the top 10 games on the NPD. Like, or actually, it's not even called NPD anymore. They renamed. The NPD chart is now called Circana, which is an awful name. But top 10 games in February, not a single Nintendo one. First time that's happened since September 2021. March's top 10 that came out this past week, Mario Kart 10 at number 10, barely in there. Obviously, Zelda is going to be making a killing on that chart. Pikmin 4 is probably going to do decently well by Switch standards, a few million at least. But I don't think Nintendo needs or wants to rely on new releases as much right now. Like, certainly in terms of drawing up public awareness, we all have Switches. They can sell us new games, no problem. It's kind of like, how do we do physical events as Nintendo to attract people who don't have Switches or to attract like the more casual? So I'm pretty sure whatever happens with Nintendo Live, we're not getting really new games there. Happy to be wrong. At most, maybe we'll get something tied into the September Nintendo Direct that typically happens. But I'm kind of thinking what we're really going to get is like in late August, they always do an Indie World showcase. Kind of like they just did the other day. That I could see. Like an indie corner. And that could have upcoming games. That's what I think is where my head's at with Nintendo Live. Which is weird because I would, in any other circumstance, be so hyped for a Nintendo dedicated convention. But now I'm just kind of pragmatically being like, yeah, I guess. I feel so weird about it. It's not like Nintendo's not doing stuff for us fans. Obviously, the Mario movie, the theme park, Zelda, like it's a great time to be a fan. But specifically, a live event hosted by Nintendo, I'm so surprised at how like chill I am about it and not like dying to go. So, yeah, it's strange. It's just so strange. I mean, I get it, but it's strange. So, did either of you watch Indie World, by the way, the other day? I don't have it on the list or anything. It just occurred to me.
I skimmed through it. Like, I just kind of went like from game to game to see what they look like. Because I didn't even know it happened until like the next day that it appeared on my recommended feed.
Right.
I guess I don't subscribe to Nintendo. Huh. But,
Weirdo.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe when I unsubscribe from Go Nintendo, that's also when I unsubscribe from True Nintendo. But, yeah, there was one game stood out to me. It was, I guess, like the next project by the Dance of the Necromancer, the Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Rift of the Necrodancer.
Yeah. Rift of the Necrodancer. That one looked really cool. It looks like a interesting like rhythm game that is kind of doing its own thing. It's like kind of Guitar Hero-y, but it also has
It's like
some
a little
mini
Guitar
game,
Hero.
but then it has like mini
Little
games.
Rhythm Heaven.
Yeah, because the rhythm games or the mini games look like they're just straight ripped out of Rhythm Heaven, but the other gameplay looks really fun. Like I like when the rhythm games aren't just here is a song and you're trying to hit the notes to make it feel like you're playing the song. I guess that's kind of almost a lot of the traditional Western ones are. But yeah, this one. But I also don't like it when you have full unlimited control. At least that's been my experience with Crypt of the Necrodancer, because I didn't really enjoy those, even though I thought I would. Like jumping around to the beat isn't as fun as keeping a beat. But yeah, I don't know.
I suck at that, by the way. The Hyrule one.
Which why I'm kind of worried about lo-fi, hi-fi, ho-fi. Some game that came out recently for Xbox and PC that is on my radar because it looks really cool visually.
Oh, Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush, yeah. But I know
that game makes me want to get an Xbox. I love the concept of it.
But it's also like kind of like rhythm based. But I want to say it's more if you do things in rhythm, you do it more powerfully, or it's like,
correct.
You're not.
You don't have to keep the rhythm, but you want to keep the rhythm.
Kind of like that other game I played that was also kind of. It had a lot of rhythm. The aspects to it. Oh my god, something city. Or this no. Oh my god, the one with the. It was an indie game. You play as a drummer, rocker duo trying to fight back against a city. And you have like different robot master equivalents. You have like a DJ. You have to fight basically dubstep, and then you have to fight like anime Japanese pop, and then you also have to fight classical music. No straight roads. That's what it was called. And I know I talked about it on this podcast. But point is, yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, because that game is a rhythm game as well. And when it's not doing traditional rhythm games, like you don't have to do things to the rhythm. Only like rarely, but that's usually the beat that the enemies attack. But yeah, interested in Rift of the Necrodancer. Looking forward to it.
It was interesting because I feel like Rift of the Necrodancer, like there's, now that you mention it, there's kind of like, I noticed not exactly a trend in the indie world. Well, there was a trend. Cats. 5 games had cats. I was happy about that as a cat owner. You could dress up your cats, race your cats, unlock pictures of cats, so many cats. But no, the other thing I noticed is there was more so than usual a lot of sequels or new entries in existing franchises in that indie world. Like there was a Five Nights at Freddy's game. I think Oxenfree 2 had its first gameplay shown. There's the Shadow Drop of Teslagrad 2. I think Blasphemous thing. That's the thing that got a sequel. But yeah, I guess it's a sign of a maturing indie scene. I don't know, but it was interesting that like more so than usual, there are a lot of like recognizable indie franchises not even including the DLC, like the Shovel Knight stuff they did for the puzzle pocket dungeon, whatever it's called. But like, yeah, just like direct sequels. That kind of stuck out to me as a bit interesting. Did you watch it at all, Kevin? Or I'm guessing no.
Nope.
Knew it. Yeah, but anyway, I'm done with my Nintendo corner. Thanks, everybody. But yeah, Nintendo Live. I don't know what to make of it.
Cool. Going on from Nintendo Live to Nintendo Sucks.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. I saw you add that to the notes.
Yeah, so whenever people like Jason sing the praise of Nintendo, and that's unfair to Jason because Jason does criticize the company when they deserve it, but more like the people who just see that Nintendo can do no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like yelling the way Jesse Pinkman yells at Hank in Breaking Bad after he douses Walt's house in gasoline. Spoilers for Breaking Bad, I guess. He can't keep getting away with it yell because Nintendo is the only company that doesn't get tarred and feathered for some of the crap that they pull. I talked about this a while ago with the Skyward Sword amiibo, which of course, at the end of the day, was almost like nothing happened there. Aside from,
just kinda
some
came
little, which
for what it's
is
worth,
just
it's
absolute
back.
crap.
You can get the Skyward Sword amiibo again and unlock a custom
fantastic
design in Tears of the Kingdom for your parasail. So
fantastic,
full circle.
But at least there, it's not as egregious as a quality of life change. But anyways,
right? Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
They,
that
and
should
they've
have
learned.
gotten
There's ways to
course correcting, but of course they didn't.
To be fair, they it's not exactly course correcting, but I can't remember what it is. I think it's Splatoon 3 or something. They announced there's a new thing that Amiibo can unlock, and then they immediately did a follow-up tweet where they're like, there will also be a software update that lets you unlock this through other means. So they're like starting to learn on that front.
Yeah. But now they have essentially become an elementary school bully to this guy named Gary Bowser. Do you either of you know where I'm going with this?
I know exactly where you're going with this. He just got out of prison early, in fact.
Yeah. So Angel, a Switch hacker named Gary Bowser, was found doing crap that he shouldn't have. Obviously very, very illegal things. He just got out of prison on good behavior. He was sentenced for 40 months, right?
Yes, and he got out in less than that.
11,
18?
I think?
20? Yeah, something like that.
11? So, I have definitely less than 20 months. Right? He was sentenced to 40. He paid 11 months of that 40. But now Nintendo is not asking, but taking money from him until he recoups them $10 billion until he
more.
dies.
14.5.
14.5? Even worse. Are you fucking kidding me?
Wait, for hacking the 3DS?
He sold hack switches.
Yeah, which could run all sorts of illegal stuff.
Yeah.
And legal stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But what kind of garbage are they getting out of this scot-free with little to no pushback from the industry?
Never heard of that.
When this ban passes, he will still be indebted to Nintendo to the tunes of millions of dollars because they want to make an example out of him.
I pulled real quick a story about it. While he was in prison, he so far has paid $175 out of his $14.5 million.
Damn.
And he paid that much because they took $25 monthly installments from his income from a job in the prison library.
Yep. They couldn't even wait until this man got out of jail. It's so unnecessarily cruel that this billion-dollar company, who is going to make at least $1 billion off a record-setting movie that just came out, is going to ask this man to pay them $10 million. Of course, what he did was wrong. Absolutely, without a question, what he did was wrong. He scammed people out of what, $300,000 over the course of 7 years,
crazy. Yeah.
which averages to $45,000 a year, which is like a minimum wage job if you think about it.
And he says he got tens of millions of dollars of proceeds from his hacking devices. Although
That's Nintendo
he admitted that,
saying
but he said he'd only seen a
that.
fraction of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But are you kidding me with this?
The part I'm not sure about. So the court ruled he owes the money. He first had a $4.5 million fine and later a $10 million additional fine. I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know if Nintendo could say, nah, we're good, and he just doesn't owe the money, or if because the U.S. court system said you owe the money if it has to happen. I actually have no idea. I'm not saying Nintendo's not in the wrong, because I just don't know. It's the court that picked the number.
I'm willing to bet if the court says, hey, this guy owes you $10 million, I'm able to say, okay, for sure, and then go to him and say, don't worry about it, dog. What kind of shit is that?
But I think, I guess what I'm saying is, I don't know if he has to, like, still, as part of the legal punishment, put the money somewhere, and then in theory, Nintendo could circle it back to him if they want. But I don't know if he has to, like, go through a, like, if there's an
because
account that's
Nintendo
funded
went out of
that
their way
has
to say that they want to make an example out of this guy.
Right. No, but I mean, once the court has ruled the fine, I don't know if Nintendo can just say, just kidding. That's what I mean.
Sure, but Nintendo is also not doing anything to help this guy in any way.
I get that. Yeah.
There's like part of me that wants to swear off this company as a whole because this situation is pure insanity. And the reason that I don't is obviously because I grew up with this company. I have to think of it in two different ways. The creative side, which is what brings me so much good memories. This company brings out some of the best games, some of the most timeless games of all time. But the corporate side of this company is one of the most ruthless and like least deserving of all the money that they make, without a doubt. And I just feel terrible for the creative side of that company because I hate that I have to associate them with these lawyers and these CEOs that just do not give a shit about the consumer at the end of the day because they're a business.
Quick thing. Part of the reason this is so muddy. So, Nintendo had a civil case against him simultaneously with the U.S. Attorney's Office having a federal criminal prosecution against him.
Sure.
The felony charges are the $4.5 million, and I think those go to the government, not Nintendo.
Okay. The U.S. government is terrible.
So,
well, okay.
No, but
big deal.
And
what
part of it goes to
millions?
Nintendo for sure, because $4.5 million is not the same as $14.5 million. So it's getting divvied up, but it's multiple people at play here. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a fun time hitting the bleep button on this episode.
I think that, and this just goes back to this whole Nintendo doesn't get enough crap as much as they should. Like that Amiibo thing was wild to me that they just got away with that. Insane.
They do definitely get a softer response because they're Nintendo. They do their own thing. It's okay. They forge their own path. Whatever. Yep. Like they're not the industry. They're next to the industry. Like they're industry adjacent. So there is definitely an element to that. Yeah, there's no denying that.
And they can't keep getting away with it.
Right, and I do agree, by the way, with your point that like the thing that makes Nintendo such a fun company to follow is the creative side. Because yes, no fan wants to lose access, for example, to hundreds upon hundreds of games on old digital platforms. And then the company's just like, nah, we're just going to milk it slowly with a subscription service now. See ya. Like, no fan's happy about that. No one's like, cool, I could play Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Green, Purple, Pink, whatever on 3DS. I could just bought it when I wanted to. And now Nintendo's going to, like, not release it. And I have no way to play it on a modern system. Like, there is definitely the business side being more callous and the creative side doing the cool stuff. There's no doubt in my mind that that's true, yeah. To your point earlier, yeah.
Nintendo development, love you. Nintendo corporate, bite me.
They really are the Disney of video games in every sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I have to remember Nintendo is not my friend. Nintendo is only here to line up their pockets with my money. Shigeru Miyamoto, my friend though, my homie.
I will say, there was a brief period in time where some people within Nintendo, I could call friends because they would send me free stuff, but it was with the ulterior motive of getting me to give them poll quotes I could throw on their website about, like, look at this guy, he likes this game. But, I have a cog in the machine, but I was happy to be one, I guess. But yes, I agree. Miyamo's a real one. Yes.
Yeah. So that is my rant on Nintendo.
I love how every piece
probably-
of drama involving Nintendo's business world decisions now involves the name Bowser. There's Doug Bowser, there's Gary Bowser, it's Bowser on Bowser crime. Like, it's just Bowser's all the way down.
Yeah. So. Now, what are we talking about?
Do we have anything left on the list? Or is it just Bowser's all the way down?
We actually do.
Do we?
Going from something that I kind of hate to something that I love. Jason, do you want to talk to Succession, or should we?
Oh my God, we have Succession. I forgot about that. Yes, I do want to talk about Succession. What a great show.
I'll see you guys later.
Quite possibly my favorite show of all time.
It is so. If you actually step back and look at how much has actually happened on this show, there's only been like 3 business deals in 4 years, and they all are kind of dependent on each other. But it's so well written and so quippy that they could just run in circles on that show, and it's still incredibly entertaining. But what's been great is this season, while it looked like the first 2 episodes they were kind of just sticking to their usual flow, they really shook things up with the 3rd episode a week or 2 ago. Like,
right, because because I think the last time they talked about the show, a lot of people felt that season 2 and season 3 were just spinning its wheels, not going anywhere.
Yeah, and even the start of season 4, they played very safe.
Yeah, but now after episode 3, it's just hauling ass to the finish line, and I can't wait.
Yeah,
see this end.
Do we want to talk about the spoiler and label it as such?
Yeah, so spoiler alert for
Succession season 4.
Season 4, everything pretty much after episode 3, which is only 2 episodes afterwards.
Well, yeah,
but I just kind of only want to talk about episode 3.
Yeah, that's fine. Did you watch 4 yet though? It came out like yesterday.
I watched 4 and 5.
How'd you watch 5? It's out?
Yesterday?
Oh, sorry. Wait. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks since episode 3.
Yes,
That's
it's
right.
been 2 weeks since episode 3.
I've seen. I'm up to date. I just got my numbers wrong. Yeah. They've gone to Norway already. Yes.
Yes.
Or Sweden. Whatever that gorgeous looking scenery was. Yeah.
Yeah. L to the OG is dead, Jason.
L to the OG. Yes. Thank you, Ken, for putting it that way. Yes, he is, and I feel like it was something.
3rd episode of the season.
I feel like it's something that would have come at some point. I just did not think it'd be that early in the season. Yeah.
What a power move by the show.
Right.
What a power move that no one was expecting.
Also, HBO and Weddings, the episode, they build it as like Connor, who, for those that aren't as familiar, shows the oldest brother. Connor's getting married. What hijinks will ensue was kind of the vibe of like the episode description and the initial trailer they released for that episode. 4 minutes into the episode, roughly, it pivots to being a real-time, actually shot in mostly one shot that they then spliced up. They did it like a stage play. I watched the behind the scenes. Everything that happens on the boat with the siblings, they did in one 30-minute take. They were using film, so they had people off camera running and getting film spools and swapping the film on one camera while another one was filming. It's crazy. But yeah, everything after those first 4 minutes was just real-time reaction to learning someone died and kind of the chaos and the waves of grief and denial and all that. And it was really well done.
Yeah, just fantastic. The fact that and these characters, man, the fact that a Rupert Murdoch stand-in dies, and I'm actually sad about it.
Yeah,
is insane. The fact that Roman Roy, a character with the first episode, rips $1 million check in front of a poor young boy and mocks him, breaks down about his father passing, this evil man, and make me feel sad is just a testament to like how amazing the writing of the show is.
And they do that with the most quippy, weird, buzzwordy, catchphrasey, non-existent buzzwords and catchphrases that they turn into buzzwords. Like they do it with the most like over-the-top writing, but they do it so well. Like no one talks like that in real life, but they do it so well. Yeah, it's impressive. Roman's arc in general is Rachel and I swear he's the most normal one of all of them, even though he has his issues and he has his weird quirks. But like something about him, he feels the most grounded, even though he's not.
I'd probably give it to Shiv.
Actually, yeah, Shiv. That's among the brothers. He's the most grounded.
Okay, yeah.
Shiv, Shiv for sure.
Among the three brothers.
Yeah, but especially like this last episode where Shiv kind of, another little spoiler for episode 5, where Shiv kind of like made the deal happen behind the scenes. Like she's definitely the most level-headed, but sure. Roman's the most like normal of the bros. Yeah, the CE bros as they call them now.
Yeah, the CE bros.
Yeah.
The fact that this show still makes me feel about these terrible characters, not in the way that like Sunny makes me feel about these characters, right? Because Sunny, you're meant to laugh, but like the message of the show isn't terrible rich people are humans too. The message of the show has always been terrible rich people are terrible.
Yeah,
but I still feel for them whenever something happens. It's insane.
Yeah, like it there's something about like it's. So, I remember I said, I think it was. I feel like I tweeted or said to someone something along the lines of like, it's so nice to spend time with these terrible people. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's hard to put your finger on, but there's just something about them that just like, I'm really bummed the season's ending this year. Like, the show's ending with this season.
The show's
like,
ending,
I want to keep spending more time with them. I think it's good they're ending on their own terms, and they were able to then do something like letting Logan die. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's such a unique... It's Game of Thrones in the business world, ultimately.
Yeah.
I mean, even I was saying about the wedding. HBO and weddings. Every wedding episode that seems innocent enough. Someone dies, something crazy happens, Game of Thrones. But, yeah, no, it's just... Yeah, it's just power dynamic after power dynamic, which makes it even funnier. Not that we're getting into politics, but just throwing out there that today, within hours of each other, Fox News fired Tucker Carlson and CNN fired Don Lemon. And I was sitting there reading these headlines, just being like, "Man, this is like Succession." Because literally this past weekend, there's an episode where in the episode they're talking about having to cut loose the fake news network, one of the people
ATN
in charge.
Yeah. Did you see somebody tweeted the stocks of Fox News and how it plummeted?
Yep.
And somebody tweeted along with it, what was it? It was like, crap, what did they say? It's exactly what Roman said when he showed Shiv and Logan.
Oh,
the
like
stocks. That's
yeah.
it. That's that right there.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's just, man, that show's so good.
Yeah, fantastic show. 5 episodes left. I don't know if I'm ready.
I'm not.
We'll see where it goes.
I think that the takeaways from today, from our episode, are really, if there's 2 things you need to do, and this is Angel, I'm speaking, is he even still here? He might have actually dropped off. I don't know. Angel, are you here? Okay, he's here.
Yeah.
I see him on the chat. Angel, the takeaways for you this episode, I think. Play Advance Wars and watch Succession. If you do that, your life will improve leaps and bounds. But honestly, Successions are just really good.
Really good show.
One day I'll watch it. I mean, I've definitely heard its praises sung by both of you plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I am not super captivated. It sounds interesting. I'm sure I'll like it, but I don't know. I think it's just
No, I get it.
The sitting down
business
to
world
watch
stuff. And in hindsight, Kevin, I forgot to say this before. Logan dying made total sense given the episode before where he was like questioning life.
Oh, sure. I think that was the first episode, but yes, I understand.
2 episodes before. But he was like, he got like really like existential for a second, and then the first time he's ever shown anything like that. Yeah. You know who I feel most sympathy for? His bodyguard. He doesn't know what to do. They keep showing him just awkwardly standing around with no one to guard.
It's not Carl, is it?
No, it's not Carl. It's another guy. But they showed multiple shots where he's just like standing. He looks like a dog that lost its owner. He's just standing there.
I haven't really paid attention to it. So.
It's only been like 2 or 3 shots since the death, but it's just every time like Rachel and I just be like, "Aw, not the bodyguard. He has no one to talk to." But yeah.
Succession. Anyway. What a perfect show, in my opinion.
What a perfect ending to topic to have, because it is a perfect show.
And that'll do it for this episode of Random or Nintendo.
Long one.
One of our longest in a while.
Yeah. Yes. I think a Nintendo World episode might have come close, but or maybe the Mario.
Yes, that was almost like true.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely up there.
Yeah.
And now we're just dragging it out longer.
Yeah. I don't like doing the housekeeping, so if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, I love marketing. All right. Angel, one day you should do this to practice for your World of Wero plugs. But I'll do it for today. So,
And
You can
forever.
find us on, what was that?
And forever.
Okay, and forever. I will happily do it forever. So you can find us on the internet. That's where we are located. We are on the podcast apps. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Stitcher, some random RSS feed, probably. But we're everywhere you want to be, including YouTube, where we are at Ram Nintendo. We're also on Twitter at Ram Nintendo. Individually, we are on Twitter as well. You can find me at JSR7. You can find Kevin at KVNGomi. You can find Angel at Wero, WEIRO _O. And you can find his art at World of Weros with no _O. And we will be back in probably about 2 weeks' time for another episode. One little editorial note. Our next episode's the weekend Tears of the Kingdom comes out. I am like 99% sure we are not going to be far enough in the game to talk about it. So you can, if you need a break from Zelda and you want to hear what's going on in the rest of the world because you've been all consumed with Zelda, we're there for you in 2 weeks. So that's all I've got. Back to you, Kevin.
And Jason, take us out with the final word.
We'll be back in 2 weeks to give you a break from Zelda with everything else going on in the rest of the world. Back to you, Kevin.